How's it going, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back. I'm your host, Pattsun, and I'm gonna be honest here. I'm pretty sure that I've already featured the original post a couple of months back, but the problem is, I couldn't find the original video. And since OP just posted the final update, I just decided to redo the entire thing. But don't worry, you can skip to the timestamps on your screen right now so you can go directly to the updates. But if you want to stay and listen to the entire thing so you can remember what happened, that would be greatly appreciated. So sit back, relax, hold on to your Dragon Balls, everybody. Let's begin. My wife held a talent show at our wedding reception, and her friend who sang networked with a guest who wants to potentially work with her. She has become very bitter since. Posted by Reddit user @pitiful1.
TLDR, wife held a talent show at our reception where her friend sang an original song. One of the guests was a producer on the side and networked with her afterwards. My wife became bitter and demanded I cut off our friend group. I knew her since college, and I'll get that out of the way first. The past few days have shown a different side of her that's a little surprising because Kate is her best friend from college. My wife Nancy wanted to do a mini talent show at our reception, and she talked it up beforehand too. She read a poem that she made for the event, and Kate performed a song that she wrote. Long story short, one of the guests who I invited is into producing, and he reached out to her after she performed. They exchanged information, and Kate was really excited. He wanted to network with her following the reception, and she even thanked my wife for hosting the talent show over text. But Nancy became really bitter about it, and that's why I'm writing this. She hasn't responded to Kate's message, and she said she regretted doing the talent show too. She also asked me to block Edward the producer on my socials and contacts, and I told her that seemed a bit much. She didn't like my answer and said that I was wrong to not take her side after just getting married, but I told her that she should be happy for her friend. She didn't like that either and vented to some in our friend group about how Kate was bragging, but some of them disagreed. She said she didn't want to hang out with them for the time being, and that included me too. Two of her girlfriends even texted me that she was overreacting and that they were also surprised to see her act that way. They also asked if she was okay too. My dad is suggesting counseling and said that asking me to remove friends is an unhealthy way to start a marriage, and I'm honestly more than a little scared. I asked if she'd be open to counseling, but she said there was no need because Kate was her friend first and I shouldn't choose Kate over her. I just want to ask what to do next since she refused counseling and sees no issue with cutting off our friends. Edit. I want to add that Nancy complained that her poem didn't get as good of a reception as Kate's song. Kate didn't study music in college but practices on the side, and her text was really thankful for the opportunity that the talent show provided. Kate is also engaged to her longtime boyfriend.
OP, your father is absolutely correct. This isn't a healthy way to start a marriage. In fact, this is not a healthy way to act in general, and she should get counseling for this. But if she refuses, I honestly can't really say what you should do other than to keep trying to talk some sense into her. But if that doesn't work, you should be prepared for the worst, OP. But whatever happens, don't give in to her ridiculous demands. You and your friends haven't done anything wrong, and you shouldn't have to cut them off. And now for OP's first update.
TLDR, my wife said she's not going on our vacation unless I blocked our friend group over two girlfriends who called out her bitterness. But when I refused, she went to her parents for space. It's been a little over 2 weeks since my first post, and I've had some time to try and process. A lot of it still feels surreal having known her since my early 20s. And the 180 after the wedding. I want to address a few things that were asked in my first post before getting to the update. Nancy and Kate were not the only ones who performed in the talent show. During planning, Nancy said she wanted to showcase her friends and how awesome and proud she was to have them. She also said it was a bonding thing between her girlfriends from our friend group, and the girls were the ones who performed. However, given her post-reception 180, it really surprised me in comparison to her pre-talent show mindset. A few people commented that she didn't need to have a talent show to read the poem she made for the wedding. She could have just read it at any time as the bride. Now for the update. The reason I'm writing this post is because of something else that came up and led to a conversation. We had a vacation coming up, but she no longer wants to go on it. In the time since my first post, she's continued to have random mood swings due to thinking about Kate. Sometimes that's venting about how Kate would have nothing without her or getting really quiet and distant even while eating. She's also still upset at her girlfriends who she vented to about Kate. But when they disagreed and called her out for being bitter over a talent show no one forced her to have, she told me to cut off our friend group along with blocking the producer and girlfriends too. When I disagreed, she became distant and said I was choosing them over her. My dad suggested counseling and talking to her again because asking me to cut off friends was an unhealthy start to the relationship. So I talked to her after my first post and asked if she'd be open to it, but she said there was no need because all I had to do was cut them off. She also said I was choosing them over her, and that she wouldn't go on our vacation until I did. When I asked her why Kate bothered her so much, she said she tried to publish in the past a novel and didn't get any hand-me-downs then. But when I reminded her that my friend was a producer on the side in his basement, she said I should have known better than to invite him, as if I should have known he would have liked Kate's song. When I told her that I wouldn't block the producer or the entire friend group, she said I was entitled like Kate and that she wanted a break because I didn't care about her. I told her that I love her but didn't think it was healthy to cut off everyone. I also told her that she should be happy for her friend because Kate was really grateful, but she didn't seem to care. She has since gone to stay with her parents and left some of her things in our apartment. I talked to my dad after she ignored texts and calls for a few days, and he suggested bringing up an annulment because it had gone too far. Her parents have also ignored my calls, but I want to clarify Kate's text before I'm done. Kate wasn't arrogant or anything to Nancy. All she did was thank her for putting together the talent show that allowed her to network with the producer after the wedding, and she also offered to take her out to lunch as thanks. There was no arrogance from Kate, and the producer is also engaged as some people inquired about too. I'm just really surprised and hurt that her bitterness turned me into a bad guy for inviting my producer friend, as if I was supposed to see into the future and not invite him.
OP, the talent show was never about showing off how awesome her friends were. It was always about showing off how awesome she thought she was. And it backfired. Now she's jealous and bitter that she hasn't made it as a writer, and she's mad that her little show resulted in an opportunity for someone else. Look, OP, her behavior to you and her friends is absolutely disgusting. If I were you, I would just take the loss here and cut myself off from her. This is a scary preview of what the rest of your life will be like when she doesn't get her way or anyone in your friend group has any form of success. That includes you. Do you really want to deal with this bullshit for the rest of your life? And now for OP's final update.
TLDR, talk to my producer friend about everything that happened with Nancy. We are in the middle of a divorce. Just wanted to come back to conclude this because it's been helpful to hear opinions and get everything out. A lot of people asked how I was in messages, and there were too many to reply to. We are currently in the process of a divorce. She's staying with her parents, and I've had some time to process and see things differently. I want to touch on two things that's happened since my update. The first is a Facebook post she made about me and the guests. In her post, she said she was supposed to win and that it was an unwritten rule for the bride to win, as if wedding talent shows are normal. She also accused them of smiting her on her day when no one knew about the show beforehand except her participating friends. She then accused me of taking Kate's side instead of comforting her as her new husband, but taking her side meant cutting off our friend group as she had in the aftermath. I don't know how her parents feel after she called out both sides of the guests, but I really don't care at this point. She also wanted me to cut off my producer friend, Edward, who approached Kate after she sang her original song and asked if they wanted to collab sometime. And I want to focus on that. I talked to Edward recently about everything, including how she wanted me to cut him off, and he couldn't believe how much it affected her. Nancy and I watched a football game at his house with him and his fiancée some months back, and he has a day job in an office. When I told him about how Nancy was jealous of Kate's big break, he couldn't believe it and said that he planned to let Kate use his audio interface to plug into her guitar and record a high-quality instrumental of her original along with his microphone too. He also said he wasn't great at mixing and was taking online courses to learn, so he was going to suggest that she commission someone to mix or enhance the files they'd record because he was far from a professional. He's a really chill guy, but he couldn't stop laughing over how Nancy thought that he was all that. He only wanted to use his interface to give her a high-quality recording after learning that she didn't have equipment, and recorded her original on her phone. He and his fiancée planned to have her for dinner just like they had me and Nancy over for football, and recorded in the basement afterwards. Looking back in hindsight, it's crazy how you can be blinded to things, but I never imagined just how crazy she could get. I didn't say this in my first two posts, because I thought it might overshadow her actions, but she sometimes posts about women empowerment on her social. And I recently thought about that for one reason. When I asked her why she wanted to have a talent show, she said she wanted to emphasize the importance of having good friends because they were important to a relationship. But as I look at it now, perhaps it was never about that. Nancy was bothered the second that Kate's song got a better reception than her, and she doubled down when she vented to two of her girlfriends after the wedding who called her out for being jealous, and that made her demand I also cut off our friend group. To everyone who asked what her poem was about, it was about women empowerment and the importance of having good friends and family when starting a family, and she told me the premise before, and although she never showed me the poem, she wanted it to be a surprise, but I never had a chance to see it on paper after the wedding for reason. Many people also corrected how she said that Kate received a hand-me-down opportunity at the wedding, but the proper term was handout as many corrected. I really appreciate everyone who offered advice as it helped a lot mentally, not to mention looking back at how crazy it all was. Just hoping to fully get over it as time goes on, but I've gotten over some of it recently.
How ironic that your ex read a poem emphasizing the importance of having good friends, but when her friend got a better reception, she got all jealous and mad and treated her like shit and asked you to cut her from the friend group. So much for the importance of friendship, right? OP, you made the right choice to end the marriage. God damn it, bro. I'm so sorry that you're going through this. But at least you see now how much of a piece of shit your ex was. And this happened to you very early on, not after years of being married, not after having children with her. So I guess you dodged that bullet. Good on you, OP. And next time, try to avoid the crazy. Viewer support is the best way for me to remain independent and continue bringing you these daily videos, which will always be here on my YouTube channel for you to watch absolutely free. So consider clicking that super thanks just below the video title, or you can use my PayPal in the description box down below. Thanks for listening, everyone. If you even somewhat enjoyed today's story, make sure to give this video a thumbs up, and if you really like it, make sure to subscribe to PattSun to never miss a future upload. Stay strong.